crush a Kroll comp right now? Like, is that if your team's SoloMid, or are you just going to continue to do what you've been doing?
Well, I mean, Joseph really hasn't been playing much else, to be honest, so it is something you have to consider. I mean, honestly, when you pick Lance up first pick, you're already kind of telling yourself that we're picking something that's going to give Kroll a little bit of a harder time, knock him away 100%. From targets and whatnot. Obviously, Kroll can shut down Blackfeather in one-on-one scenarios, but has a hard time keeping up with them when they're in a team fight, so Samuel also coming on board. We've seen this draft before. We have kind of this pokey front line, literally to that extent, with Lance impales and on points, and then Samuel to kind of back it up. What Cloud9 rounds out here, though, will be a really important factor of how they can protect this Celeste.
Not to say this is what I think should happen, but the way Team SoloMid have been playing, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Crystal Blackfeather with the weapon Samuel.
Yeah.
Oh, draft accidentally canceling out there.
Oh, but we see there's a Rap God in here. And Bacon.
Right on.
It's going to be good.
Tasty Owl.
Tasty Owl.
Cyber Bacon.
Yeah.
Cyber Bacon, the favorite food of the future.
Oh, gosh. It doesn't sound very delicious. I want real bacon if I'm going to have some bacon.
That's right, dude. We got him right there.
There he is.
That is the real bacon. All right, so you've seen the drafts. Kroll is indeed what Joseph is going to be playing. I guess you could have expected that. We did expect that. Do you think that they're going to be able to perform? What was so funny about that?
You could have expected that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just, it's a true thing.
Go on, sorry.
So, I mean, do you think that this composition has panned out for Cloud9? Or do you think that they've been forced into it because Joseph's hero pool is not very deep? It's a hero puddle, inverse to Team Secret's hero ocean.
Yeah, so I don't particularly love Joseph on a pick where he's protecting Hardek on a mage, if you will. We've talked about this before. When he's on Kroll in a more enabled position to where he's trying to put pressure on, trying to invade, trying to go in, which is very different than the Kroll that's with like a Catherine trying to peel, trying to pull back for the Celeste.
Yeah.
I don't favor that style coming out of Cloud9. I feel like most of their success have been on a Kestrel in lane or some kind of weapon power carry where Joseph's able to go off in jungle and they just do better under pressure scenarios. And I think TSM is prepared for this type of draft.
I think that makes sense. And then if you look at it like, okay, Joseph's diving on Samuel, you have Blackfeather diving on the Celeste. Well, and then how are the Roams going to deal with this? Well, it's easy to get the wall now. Kroll, he has to re-engage or think about doing something else. On the flip side, though, if you see a predictable stun, well, I'm Rose defensive, and now what are you going to do?
Yeah, I definitely think Kroll has to peel with Catherine for Celeste because Blackfeather alone with Celeste will almost always win. Yeah. Lost Boy is pretty much guaranteed to be there with Hardek helping peel for him, so no surprise there. That's pretty much the way that's going to go. Yeah. The real question is going to be, how does TSM execute their draft? Is Blackfeather actually go to the back line, or does he just on point and poke until Samuel gets max stacked, and then they just try to delete one target, whether it's Kroll in the front, whether it's Celeste in the back?
If he's getting the stacks, I mean, Catherine frontlining right there could be pretty good for them, be able to reflect some of that burst damage back at them.
Yeah, I mean, Savior can't obviously fire through that front line, so TSM may very well either try to catch Hardek from a flank angle or just mow down the front line with damage and force the Celeste to push herself out of position. We've actually seen that happen a few times. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, there's a lot of different ways this game could go. Let's find out which way it will as we head on to the Halcyon Fold for our first game of North America today between Cloud9 and Team SoloMid. Pass it on over to our shoutcasters, the real Tasty Bacon and Cyber Owl.
Thank you so much, AJ. So we're going to be going right into this game here. It's between TSM and Cloud9. As we had mentioned previously, best chucking in the lane on this Blackfeather against Celeste is going to be relatively interesting for me. Mostly due to the fact that Hardek is playing Celeste, have that range advantage, but also the fact that they have that Kroll Catherine means that Blackfeather can't really push up in the lane.
Yeah, and I mean, a couple days ago, Playoff Beard made a tweet about, make sure you haven't gotten too rusty on those melee heroes for the next update that's going to be coming out, but it looks like the melee heroes are already fully back in the meta here in 1.23 because we've been seeing a lot of Blackfeather, and even over in Europe and such, we've been seeing a lot of Rona, Kroll, Taka, so lots of melee heroes have been coming back, and right now a lot of damage actually being put down to Best Chuck. He does have that book though, so once he gets to these minions, he should be able to keep himself healed up plenty well, but one thing I want to touch on is actually something that the desk was talking about as far as the points are concerned and the matchup. Actually, hold that thought.
We are going to be seeing Hardek getting engaged on here by Best Chuck, but here comes I Love Joseph rotating up from the jungle. Flash X eating a ton of damage from Hardek here with those basic attacks, just the natural damage that comes with Celeste thanks to her passive, or her heroic perk. And now Lost Boy Tough actually stunning up Bonsi, who's still chasing down I Love Joseph. Deadman's rush onto him. There's the Impale from Flash X, as well as the Githian Wall. Drifting Dart comes out. Malice and Verdict is taking him down, and it's going to take down Lost Boy Tough. I Love Joseph eating a ton of damage as well. One more basic attack should secure the kill, and Bonsi not going to connect with the Malice and Verdicts. Deadman's rush from I Love Joseph. Best Chuck and A tries to secure the kill, not quite going to be able to find it onto I Love Joseph, doing a really good job keeping himself alive under the turret there. And only one kill going over to TSM, potentially two, but I Love Joseph did such a good job staying alive and almost healing Best Chuck and A there as well.
Yeah, very, very good job by I Love Joseph being able to just narrowly avoid that last Malice and Verdict. He is going to get a steal on this Treant, but then recognizes that he's going to have to get out of here very quickly. He is going to be able to get out safely, so great play from I Love Joseph. As much as I don't want to talk about it, I do have to talk about the fact that it is Von C going for this weapon Samuel once again. I cannot stand this build whatsoever, but Von C, he somehow manages to make it work. But going back to what I was saying before about Best Chuck, he's going to get jumped on.
Best Chuck getting taken down fairly low there. Lost Boy Top actually trying to chase him down. One more hit from Death. He does use the on point to give himself a shield, but it's going to be hard at picking up the kill with a basic attack there. And just want to go ahead and point out after the fact, we do have the vote results here. It is TSM 73% to Cloud9's 27%. That's a pretty big disparity there.
Yeah, pretty big margin, and there's a reason for it. If you go off of past performances, Team SoloMid has been significantly better than Cloud9. Of course, again, that's without I Love Joseph being in the mix, and the desk also alluded to some of the issues that may have been happening for Cloud9 playing in different locations for multiple weeks of the Evil 8 and Split 1. Now, as far as the Worlds, qualification is concerned, Team SoloMid obviously already has their spot, but they can still kind of act as gatekeepers in a way here. If they can deny those points going over to Cloud9, they can prevent Cloud9 from making it to Worlds. And this is a team that every single time they make it to a live event, regardless of if it was Cloud9 or when they were Nemesis, they always finished in the top 4. So they always show up at the live events. So for TSM, it may be in their best interest to try and deny Cloud9 that World's berth.
We actually are going to be seeing Flash X getting caught there with that core collapse. Followed up with Lost Boy Tough, picking up the kill onto Flash X. Cloud9 actually picking up a nice amount of gold here for themselves, but Vansi is just stealing away their jungle, denying I Love Joseph even more farm and even more gold. It's a pretty big difference there, 32 CS to 12.
Yeah, it's a definite big difference, which, you almost expect Kroll to not typically have a huge CS lead, but now Hardek, they are underneath this turret. They're going to take the turret. Hardek sacrificing himself. Lost Boy Tough maybe going down in the process as well, but they got the turret. They got the objective that they wanted. They're going to be happy with that.
But the question is, what are they going to lose off of that as well? I Love Joseph is the only one here to try and defend this turret, and all 3 members of TSM are going to try and barrel that thing down. I Love Joseph gets knocked right into the turret to get stunned. Oblivion comes down. He is going to get put to sleep, but Flash X and Von C going to be able to really output a lot of damage onto that turret. Best Chuck now also having a bunch of gold in his pocket so that he can really start doing some damage along this Black Feather. And I just wanted to go ahead and touch upon something that you mentioned previously, and that was about TSM being the gatekeepers here. Really taking out a contender in the form of Cloud9 definitely would be in their best interests, but at the same time, down in the other side of the bracket, which team do you think they'd be more concerned about going against?
I think, to be completely honest, I don't think TSM is really thinking about that at all. They are a team that definitely plays each series one game at a time, sort of situation, so there's a lot of what if still. We're only in week 1, so there's still plenty of time for these standings to shake up and for teams to kind of try and earn that 3rd and final spot for North America at Worlds. But I just feel like there's so many question marks that you really can't say, oh, this is the one team that I want to be playing against. However, right now, Hardek, he's going to get jumped on, but he is deleted.
Yeah, completely wiped off the folder. That kill goes over to Von C. I Love Joseph trying to chase down Best Chuck and A. Spectral Smite comes down, not going to secure the kill, and Best Chuck able to secure the kill there for himself instead after a very nice Githian wall from Flash X. And right now TSM it just seems like now it's the time where TSM starts playing like TSM and starts barreling over their opponents. And 5 kills to 2 in their favor in this early game, especially having a Black Feather, definitely what they want to be seeing.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a reason why TSM is currently the #1 team in all of North America, and they are starting to showcase that here. You know, at the Summer Live Championships, they faced Cloud9 twice. They beat them 2-0 both times, and well, they're looking to just continue that streak now, as they are still just getting plenty of damage on to the members of Cloud9. Lots of pressure in the lane. Best Chuck NA with the Crystal Blackfeather build. I know a lot of people may be scratching their heads at that one, wondering why I am not so upset about the Crystal Blackfeather when it's the Weapon Power Samuel bothers me so much. But Crystal Blackfeather is actually a very viable build. He has quite a bit of crystal ratios on both his perk and on point and Faint of Heart. All 3 of them scale with crystal power. It's more of a sustained damage than you get out of the sort of assassin type style that you have with the weapon power, but you get a lot of burst with those broken hearts. Each broken heart stack that you get applies a nice chunk of damage with that crystal power, and of course the on point, you get a massive shield with the crystal power build.
And not only do you get a massive shield with on point, that thing just hurts so much when you get hit with that after you have a couple of stacks onto yourself. It's just, oh, I have full health, I'm fine. Oh, where's all my health
crystal
gone?
ratio. So yeah, that's a little bit of damage. 180%. It's not an insignificant number.
But the question remains still is if Best Chuck NA is actually going to be able to utilize the damage that he's putting onto this Black Feather. So late game, Lost Boy Toff and I Love Joseph pretty much are going to be jumping onto Best Chuck 9 out of 10 times. Mostly due to the fact that it's a weapon power Samuel, not going to be outputting as much damage as Crystal Power Samuel in the late game. However, it's still a target. But I feel like they're going to end up prioritizing Best Chuck just because it's Blackfeather, he's Crystal Blackfeather. We don't need him jumping onto Hardeck every single time.
Yeah, well, right now they're going to be starting up this gold mine. A lot of damage being done to it. It's Cloud9 trying to get involved, making sure that gold mine doesn't go over. They are going to stop that take, at least for now. Team SoloMid, are they going to come up looking for anything in the lane? The Flare is going to spot them out, and they just say, okay, you're going to back off a bit. We're just going to start up this gold mine again. They are trying to draw Cloud9 into a fight.
And right now, we do see Cloud9 just peppering them down with Heliogenesis, Supernova onto Flash X. Are they going to be able to go for the steal? There's the Solar Storm, and they don't quite get it. Best Chuck and they're going to be able to secure that for TSM. And now the Impale comes in from onto Hardeck, not going to connect though. Lost Boy Top gets caught in the Oblivion, and now they're focusing their attention onto, it seems like I left Joseph, but Vonsi gets caught in the core collapse. He's getting taken so low. And there's the Fountain of Renewal, popped by Flash X. Vonsi still getting a lot of focus here. He's going to get taken down by Hardeck with those basic attacks. Best Chuck going to be forced to Rose Offensive away. Flash X, you are on the complete wrong side of the map. C9 going to definitely be able to pick this kill up here for themselves. That kill goes over to Lost Boy Toff. 2 kills being returned over to Cloud9. They didn't get the gold mine, but I think they're happy to pick up 2 kills and have a little bit of freedom around the map now that they're not being pressured so hard by all 3 members of TSM.
Yeah, Von C was trying to put out damage from the back lines, but it was a great From Hell's Heart coming out of I Love Joseph. It actually collided with Von C. Doesn't have that reflex block, so he's not able to block any of that. And immediately after the From Hell's Heart, you saw the core collapse come down. So Von C was essentially just removed from that fight and unable to output any damage really at all. So that's really the reason why Cloud9 was able to win that one, was their target optimization of saying, okay, we're just going to pick one person and completely invalidate their existence in the team fight.
And honestly, I feel like they're going to be trying to go for that repeat over and over and over again. Just, it'll work at this point. And right now, Best Chuck gets caught inside from Hell's Heart, from Deadman's Rush. Oblivion comes down from Von C, not going to connect onto the members of C9. Flash X looking for the opportunity to knock Lost Boy Toff into a wall. Does successfully do so. I Love Joseph in the middle of this fight gets taken down with that Rose Offensive from Best Chuck NA. And now Hardeck trying to return some damage. Supernova comes down, able to secure the kill onto Best Chuck, but he is going to get taken down by Von C on this weapon power Samuel. Lost Boy Toff, the only one alive, not wanting to give up that ace over to TSM. But a 2-for-1 in favor of TSM. TSM definitely wanting to have that be a repeat performance, I guess. Mostly
and-
due to the fact that Cloud9, they need to isolate those targets, whereas TSM, they could just kind of barrel you down.
Yeah, and one of the things that I really like from both of these sides is their ability to prevent aces going over. The moment they recognize that a fight is lost, one member just completely dips out and tries to just avoid getting found by the rest of the opponent. So, Vainglory and FlashX still trying to steal away farm. Most of that ends up going to Cloud9, but now with a monocle, it is going to be the breaking point double monocle build for Vainglory and this Samuel, unfortunately. Again, it's...
Oh man, I could hear the
that-
salt radiating from your voice.
I am so salty about these builds just because like it really has no right to work the way that Vainglory makes it work, and it's just I don't know. It's a mixture of saltiness and jealousy, I think, just seeing it happen. But I just don't understand how it doesn't get punished a lot more by these teams that are going up against it. But he's able to stay so far on the back lines that they really aren't able to. There's going to be a From Hell's Heart.
Ooh, really nice Oblivion landing onto both Hardek and I Love Joseph. I Love Joseph right on top of Vainglory. Vainglory getting those Spectral Smite stacks onto him. Gets taken down by I Love Joseph with that Spectral Smite. Cloud9, the first kill picked up here in this fight. FlashX and Best Chuck completely on the retreat here as Goldmine gets started up by Cloud9. They just allowed Vainglory to get caught by the Kroll. They just did not protect him whatsoever.
Not only that, but, well, actually, they're going to be continuing this fight. However, Lost Boy is going to be taken down extremely low, but the rest of Cloud9, they want these kills, they want this gold mine.
And it just kind of seems like they're switching off on targets here. Two members of Cloud9 are very low. Lost Boy Top and I Love Joseph are prime targets here for FlashX and Best Chuck. Hardek getting taken super low, and here comes Best Chuck picking up the kill onto Hardek, but the Scout Trap of Doom taking him down. And that's going to be Lost Boy Top picking up that kill for himself. FlashX going to be falling very shortly afterwards. That kill goes over to I Love Joseph. Vainglory did respawn, and now he's back by the jungle shop, so no gold mine being had here for Cloud9, but they're going to be able to steal away the back jungle of TSM, where Vainglory is just going to steal away theirs.
Yeah, so the jungle going to get traded out here. Neither team going to really be caring too much about that, but, I mean, with Vainglory's build on the Samuel, yes, as long as he can stay alive, he'll be able to output a whole ton of damage, but the problem is, individually, he is not very sustainable like a Crystal Power Samuel would be. And instead of, when Kroll jumps onto him, normally with these Crystal Power, he's actually not going to worry about that too much because he'll be healing so much through an Eve of Harvest and increasing his damage dramatically with a Broken Myth. But because it's the Breaking Point and double Monocle build that he's going for, when I Love Joseph jumps onto him, those weakness stacks are devastating for him to try and deal with. And if Best Chuck and A, he's not going to be able to provide any peeling. It's really all comes down to FlashX. And if FlashX isn't able to stop I Love Joseph, which he can get the wall and root him once, but after that, I Love Joseph is still going to be able to just charge through onto that back line and get into Vainglory's face. They're going to have a tough time dealing with the Kroll.
And on top of that, with that Shiver Steal, if Vainglory does try to run away inside the Drifting Dark, he's not going to be able to really go anywhere. I Love Joseph will stay right on his tail. So it's going to be interesting to see how they end up playing with this Weapon Power Samuel if they do opt to go for a more let's protect Vainglory style play. Or are they going to keep trying to go, okay, let's go for the fight, go for the kill, and whatever happens, happens. Which is what we ended up seeing in that last fight. We do see TSM posturing around Kraken. Not too much going to be had here. Scout Trap is available there for Cloud9, so they know that TSM are there waiting in the wings. And Vainglory and FlashX starting up the Kraken. Doesn't look like they wanted to commit to it, though, as Lost Boy Top does kind of show himself there, dissuading them a bit. But TSM right now have a lot of map control. Cloud9 really need to just try and barrel down Vainglory and maybe go for a quick Kraken if they really want to regain control over the map.
Yeah, well, there's going to be the From Hell's Heart getting thrown out. It does not connect, though. And that's going to be TSM actually possibly looking to make a fight happen.
Oh, but they're jumping right onto Vainglory. Vainglory getting taken solo. Solar Storm taking him out of the fold. Best Chuck getting taken solo as well. Gets caught with the Heliogenesis. Basic attack is just kind of flying across the fold. Gonna connect, but it's not gonna do enough to secure a kill. But one kill going over to Cloud9 as they pick up Vainglory. Meanwhile, inside the base of Cloud9, FlashX and I Love Joseph just kind of duking it out. It's going to be a very long fight on that side. But this also denies Cloud9 the opportunity to take Kraken. Lostboytov and Hardek, they can take Kraken fairly quickly, yes, but they run the risk of Best Chuck coming down and Von C having already been respawned. So they can't safely take that without running the risk of somebody coming down, but they're going to start it up anyway.
Yeah, well, why not? You know you have a 2 versus 3, and if Best Chuck or Von C come to contest, they can just immediately try and turn on them. So Live Love Joseph has From Hell's Heart available, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're starting up the Kraken. Von C and Best Chuck, they're here to try and make a play on it, but they know they can't. I Love Joseph again throwing out the From Hell's Heart without vision that time, so they weren't able to find anything. He was hoping someone would be sitting in that brush waiting, but instead, even if that doesn't connect, though, it guarantees that there's no one there, so they can just safely finish off the Kraken without having to worry about the steal. So even though it doesn't connect, it's still not a bad throw of that ultimate, plus it's going to be up fairly soon as well, because he did put 3 points into it.
And on top of that, it's just a humongous zoning tool, so TSM, they don't want to run the risk of, oh, all of a sudden we're all stunned, and now there's I Love Joseph just barreling us down. Kraken is going to be now hitting that tier 2 turret for TSM. So Cloud9 looking for the opportunity to possibly pick up a kill here so they can get a really strong push. Flash X eating a bit of poke, a lot of damage from that on point from Best Chuck there. I Love Joseph got taken down half with it. Hardek gets caught in the impale. He's getting taken solo. Oblivion comes down. It gets reflex block. Solar Storm comes out as well, but Hardek gonna get taken down by Von C. I Love Joseph now the new target here for TSM. He's gonna get taken down by Best Chuck. Now they're chasing down Lost Boy Top. Not gonna bother even sticking onto him as the Kraken did manage to take down that tier 2 turret. Now knocking down the tier 3. Lost Boy Top, the only one alive here for Cloud9. No ace being given over to TSM, but a very strong team fight win for TSM. Despite the fact that they lost that Kraken, they just dove right onto Hardek.
Yeah, beautiful play from Flash X. He went in with the Impale once, it didn't connect, but he didn't give up. Once it was available again, he went in one more time, caught Hardek, Githian Wall, got multiple members stunned, and then they just follow up with the Oblivion, and there's just so much damage. Hardek being stuck on the front lines like that means that he had really nowhere to go, and Von C was able to output the damage, able to get those crits down, and it just blew through Hardek's health bar, really. So while the Kraken did take down that tier 2 turret, it is still 500 gold going the way of Team SoloMid, despite the fact that, it feels like C9 has been able to push in and had much more pressure. Team SoloMid actually has a 3,000 gold lead still because of the farm differences. I mean, it's 108 to 50 in the jungle, which, again, to be expected. Krull typically actually will get up to like 40, 45 farm, and then it significantly drops off because his attention at that point is now to try and just kill opponents and focus on objectives. So it's not the worst situation, but they are just going to be clearing out this wave. It looks like you want to wait perhaps for the next Kraken to be available. They are playing very wary, I feel, after that last team fight went awry.
They're going to pretty much have to, especially with the fact that since TSM were able to freely dive onto Hardek, they just threw all of the abilities at Hardek. Oblivion, On Point, Impale, everything. And it was able to actually completely turn the team fight in TSM's favor. Oblivion goes down, but it does not connect this time. Von C eating a bunch of damage. Gets caught in the core collapse. I Love Joseph right on top of him, but Hardek going to be able to secure the kill with those basic attacks. On the bottom part of the map, we do see Best Chuck and Lost Boy Top dueling it out. But Lost Boy Top is just too tanky for Best Chuck to duel here. And we are actually going to be able to see Flash X escape and get to safety. But I Love Joseph still trying to chase down Best Chuck and A. I don't really think it's worth it though. Kraken has spawned, and this is a very potentially good opportunity for Cloud9, but Hardek is pushing up the lane. He's by himself. He still has to be careful for Best Chuck, because he does a lot of damage right now.
And Flash X has to be counting himself lucky that he did not go down there, because From Hell's Heart was thrown out to try and hit Von C, but Von C was already dead. On the rebound, it was just inches away from colliding with Flash X, which would have been a massive stun, a nearly full duration stun coming out off of that one, but it just barely went to the side. So now Cloud9, they're going to be again onto this crack and have to be wary of a steal, though. All three members of TSM coming.
And they do successfully take it with a Spectral Smite. Best Chuck right in the middle left fight gets taken solo with that Solar Storm. Oblivion comes down, but it does miss. And Hardek getting taken solo by Flash X, and Best Chuck gets dove on, gets taken down by Von C. Best Chuck still so low. Lost Boy Talk trying to secure the kill, does manage to do so, but Von C now the focus here for I Love Joseph. Spectral Smite comes down, not going to secure enough damage. Von C takes him down, and I Love Joseph is going to fall as well. That's going to be the ace going over to TSM, despite them losing the Kraken. But this is a Kraken that should at least be able to take that tier 3 turret. So it's a little bit of gold back in favor of Cloud9, but another 500 gold each for TSM. That's the amount of gold that Cloud9 does not want to give over at this point.
I Love Joseph made a minor mistake in that as they went, when Best Chuck came in, it was a huge burst onto Best Chuck, and understandably so, the entirety of Cloud9 wanted to then get that kill, make it a 3-on-2 as early as they could, but there's so much survivability from Best Chuck with the shield, the barrier being provided from the on point, and the Aegis being activated. He was able to survive so long that by the time I Love Joseph turned his attention onto Von C to get those weakness stacks onto this Weapon Power Samuel, he already had multiple stacks of Breaking Point built up and was able to deal with having that curl onto him. So it was just that slight moment of hesitation where I Love Joseph went onto Best Chuck NA instead of jumping immediately onto Von C was what allowed the Samuel to get the damage that he needed to get ramped up and become a menace with this build. Because it doesn't matter who you're playing. If you have this Breaking Point double monocle build, if you get a few attacks off unchecked and get those Breaking Point stacks, you're going to do a lot of damage.
And with that in mind, we have Breaking Points on each side built up, but they've been able to focus so much onto Von C in previous fights and take him out. Why don't they go for that again? They focused all their attention on the Best Chuck. Yeah, he's the one you hit with From Hell's Heart, but Von C should still be a primary target. He gets caught with From Hell's Heart, though. Getting taken so low. Supernova comes out, but it's not going to connect onto Von C. I Love Joseph right on top of him. There's the Blast Tremor. Spectral Smite comes down, not going to secure the kill. Lost Boy Top secures the kill alongside Hardex Solar Storm. Flash X gets caught inside the core collapse. He's getting taken so low. Heliogenesis peppering him down. Here comes I Love Joseph, going to be right on top of him. Get those stacks up. Is it going to be enough to secure the kill? But Lost White Top going to be able to stun him up yet again. And they're all just going to barrel right on top of Flash X. That's going to be a team fight win for Cloud9. 2 kills for 0 in their favor. But Kraken is not available to them. But they've been perfectly happy to go ahead and pick up those kills for themselves, despite the fact that they were not able to kill Best Chuck.
Yeah, the Cloud9, they know exactly what they need to do in these fights now. They've been doing it all game. Like I said, that last team fight where they went after Best Chuck, it was the natural instinct of seeing that much health be chunked off of a target in such a hurry. That was why they all went for Best Chuck instead. But I Love Joseph, as long as he puts all of his focus onto Von C at all times, Cloud9 should be able to win this one because they have been able to win every single team fight in which they've done this.
And with that in mind, this goes to raise eyebrows here for Von C. He's only sitting on an Aegis. Everything else is damage. He has 2 Tyrant Monocles, the Breaking Point, and a Piercing Spear. So, what do you think that TSM have to do? They have to peel for him, but at this point, can they really peel for him successfully enough?
I don't think so. I mean, we just saw as much peel as they could possibly use onto him in that last fight. It was the Githian Wall and the Impale both landing onto I Love Joseph, knocking him away from Von C. But if he can stay on the backlines, if he can void that from Hell's Heart, the Heliogenesis are doing so much damage, and now they're going in onto Best Chuck and Von C, both taken down very low.
Ooh, Von C getting focused down by Lost Boy Top. He gets taken so low, but Best Chuck securing a double kill for himself onto Hardeck and Lost Boy Top. Von C still so low and keeping himself alive. That's going to be a triple kill going over to Best Chuck at A. And TSM walking out of that with an ace, 3 for 0. Von C staying alive by the skin of his teeth because Hardeck and I Love Joseph were occupied by Best Chuck and Flash X. Lost Boy Top was the only one onto Von C there, despite the fact that he was taken so low.
I wish I could get a replay of that because it also looked like the Oblivion may have connected with multiple people or at least stopped them from going in onto Von C fully. So that was something that I may go check over on the Twitch feed in a few minutes just to double check on it. But now, with that ace so late in the game, Best Chuck NA pushing up with these minions. He is onto the crystal turrets while his teammates are taking down the Kraken. You see how much damage this crystal feather has with that on point. 450 damage to the turret off of that B ability. It is really scary the amount of damage that can come out, but Kraken is now unleashed in favor of Team SoloMid, and Cloud9, after looking so good for the majority of this game, after being the ones that had the pressure and were finding the fights, now they are suddenly on the back foot and at risk of dropping game number 1.
And right now we do see TSM posturing around the top part of the jungle. They're going to go for the Impale, not going to find it onto Hardek. He gets stunned up with that core collapse. Best Chuck in the middle of this fight, really, trying to get some damage onto Hardek and Lost Boy top. Oblivion comes down, not going to connect onto Cloud9. From Hell's Heart comes out as well. It's not going to find a target. They're focusing down Best Chuck NA. He's going to get taken solo. His Spectral Smite comes down, securing the kill for I Love Joseph. Now they're focusing down Vonsi. He's going to get taken down as well with the Heliogenesis. Now Cloud9 going to be focusing down this Kraken as it takes the first Vein Crystal turret. A very rough fight there for TSM. They ended up losing after just overcommitting, really. They needed to just allow Kraken to push in a little further, make Cloud9 make the decision, okay, do we want to fight, do we want to go for Kraken? But it seems like they just pulled the trigger a little too early.
And these fights have been absolutely ridiculous. We are going into the 28th minute of the game, and we still don't have a clear-cut winner. The kills are even. The gold is still 4,000 in favor of Team SoloMid, but the turrets, there's one extra turret destroyed by Team SoloMid than there is by Cloud9. But this is the matchup that, everyone looks forward to with these teams. It's always exciting, and 28 minutes in, one fight is going to do it. If there's an ace, then it's pretty much game, because the death timers are up at a minute at this point. So a full 60 seconds when you go down. If you get picked off, if you are caught out of position whatsoever, it is just devastating for your team. And so that's why neither of these teams, I think, are going to be sending anyone on any sort of solo missions. They are going to be constantly moving together as 3. When that next Kraken spawns, that's going to be an incredibly important objective on both sides. Neither team is going to want to let that go over without contesting.
But the question remains is, if with that Kraken being spawned, who's going to pull the trigger to fight? Because right now, Cloud9 have that advantage. They have the advantage of having from Hell's Heart. They have Lost Boy top on that Catherine. So much lockdown on their team that TSM really have to play around that. But if TSM pulls the trigger for the engage, that leaves a lot of room for Cloud9 to just say, you know what, let's not even bother with the Kraken. Let's jump onto Von C. Let's jump onto Best Chuck and secure a kill.
Hardek has so much gold that he just bought 4 infusions.
Oh my god.
I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but I mean, obviously it really doesn't matter, because he still has enough gold for another infusion. And they've got them out-rotated. They can look for a fight. Githian Wall is used, and here we go.
And now they're really focusing all their attention on the flash X from Hell's Heart, as well as the core collapse right on top of that Lance. Not really the target that you're looking for, but Solar Storm comes out, shreds apart Best Chuck. Vonsi running into the base of Cloud9. Flash X, the focus here for Hardek. It's caught in the core collapse. He's getting slowed down thanks to the Frostburn that Hardek has for himself. Vonsi just trying to take down that turret. He's sitting in that Drifting Dark. He's not going to take it down in time. I Love Joseph picking up that kill for himself. Meanwhile, Hardek still going for the chase on the Flash X, knowing he's not going to catch him, just going to clear out that minion wave. Now is a very good potential Kraken for Cloud9. This is just so late in the game. That was such a weird fight to be seen from TSM. They moved so far forward without having the necessary vision.
Yeah, they aren't going to get aced, though. That pig split of, Flash X going one way and Vonsi going the other, that prevents the ace coming through, and it allows TSM at least another chance in this one. While Kraken is going to be going over to Cloud9 eventually, it's a very slow take without Hardek being there. Once they take this down, you can see it. 2 seconds. Best Chuck NA is up. 15 for Von C. That's going to be more than enough time for him to respawn as well to join the fray for this Kraken push. But Cloud9, full builds across the board for everyone on the fold. There is not a single item slot left open. Infusions for all 6 members as well. Gold is literally meaningless, and they are going to be pushing in for this final fight. Deflex blocks are going to be so crucial if they can block this from Hell's Heart.
That's an item. Flash X picked up a Shatter Glass.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. They feel like they need that little bit of extra damage, and well, they're hoping that Shatter Glass will be able to provide it. It's definitely a curious pickup, but we'll see if it pays off for them here, because Kraken is now getting in onto these turrets. Cloud9, they need to either try and siege up or look for a fight. Right now, they're just dancing around the backlines.
Honestly, dancing around the backlines is working in favor of TSM. Hardek getting jumped on by Flash X and Best Chuck. He's getting taken so low. Is he going to fall? Yes, he is. Best Chuck and A picking up that kill for himself. There's the Blast Tremor from Lost Point Off. Meanwhile, the Kraken does take the first Vein Crystal turret. Lost Point Off going to also fall to TSM. Meanwhile, I Love Joseph. He's just waiting in the wings. He's going to go for the back door.
Oh my goodness, he's going to try and do this. It's going to at least stop TSM from being able to go down and finish. They're going to have to send at least 1 or 2 people back. He is on to the Crystal with the Kraken. I Love Joseph may have just won him the game.
But the question remains, he just got taken down. The Kraken is so low. That's an ace. TSM, they're not going to lose this game here. The Kraken is going to fall before the Vein Crystal does.
But that just saved the game. There's still 20 seconds. Hardek and Lost Point Off will come back up before TSM can get down and push. Because the ace came while Kraken was still up, there are no minions to get that ace buff. And this is an absolutely insane game number 1 of this best of 3 series. Hardek and Lost Point Off are going to be up, but this is going to be a very difficult defense. It's 2 on 3. They have a turret, but this is so risky. Hardek needs to be careful.
Hardek getting jumped on immediately, but Best Chuck and A getting shredded apart with that Supernova. Bonsi taking down the Vein Crystal. He's the one that you need to be focusing on. He is going to take the Vein Crystal in favor of TSM. No successful defense here for Cloud9. 32, nearly 33 minutes in. We are going to see a victory finally go